All right, let's talk about one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make, choosing a life partner. For too long, we've been told to just follow our heart or wait for that spark. But today, we're throwing out the romantic myths and looking at a scientific framework. We're going to dive into what decades of research actually say about making this choice wisely. Let's get into it. So, why is dating so hard these days? If you've ever felt like you're just lost in this endless, frustrating maze of apps and awkward dates, you are definitely not alone. It kind of seems like the more choices we have, the tougher it is to find someone who actually makes us happy in the long run. So what's really going on here? I mean, this quote just nails the feeling, doesn't it? It's like you're stuck in this impossible loop. The people you feel that intense spark with often come with a whole lot of drama. And then the kind, stable people, well, they might feel a little boring. It's a classic dating paradox, but believe it or not, science actually gives us a way to break out of it. Okay, first things first. We have to tackle a huge problem right at the source. That feeling of primal attraction, that chemistry, it's often a terrible guide for picking a lifelong partner. It's kind of like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. It feels exciting at first, but it's just not built to last. And this right here really shows the gap between what we chase and what actually works. Our brains are hardwired to go after the shiny stuff, good looks, high status, that addictive spark. But the research, it's so clear. Long-term happiness isn't built on those things. It's built on the deep stuff, a person's character, their ability to handle conflict, and whether your lives are genuinely compatible. So why do we get this so wrong? Well, one of the biggest culprits is a little brain glitch called the halo effect. Here's how it works. If you find someone really attractive, your brain just takes a shortcut. It automatically assumes, wow, they must also be kind and funny and smart, without any actual proof. It puts them up on a pedestal, and our rational brain just gets totally sidelined. And what about having a type? You know, we all say we have one, but that type can be a really unreliable compass. A lot of the time, it's just pointing us back toward patterns from our past, patterns that might feel familiar but are actually super unhealthy, like always being drawn to people who are emotionally unavailable. So, if we can't trust our gut instinct for attraction, where do we start? Well, the answer is, you start with you. Before you can even think about building a solid relationship with someone else, you have to get really clear on your own personal blueprint. A huge part of that blueprint is your attachment style. You can think of it as your default setting for how you connect with people. Secure folks tend to have the most stable, easygoing relationships. Anxious types often worry about the connection and need a lot of reassurance, while avoidant types tend to pull away to protect their independence. Just knowing which one you are is a total game changer. And next up, you have to know your non-negotiables. These are the absolute pillars of your life. I'm talking about the big stuff: family, money, career, kids. Do you want them? Do they? If you're not on the same page with these core issues, you're not just setting yourself up for little arguments. You're building in a source of constant, deep-seated tension. Okay, so once you know yourself, the next phase isn't about finding the perfect person. Nope, it's actually about getting really, really good at spotting the deal breakers, the critical red flags. It's about avoiding faulty building materials right from the get-go. This is so crucial, so let it sink in. You need to completely flip your mindset. Stop trying to make a list of all the good things, all the green flags. In the early stages of dating, your number one job is to be a detective for the red flags, the things that will absolutely sink the ship later on. And science has given us an amazing cheat sheet for this. It comes from researcher John Gottman, and it's called the 4 Horsemen. These are 4 communication styles that can predict divorce with scary accuracy. They are criticism, which isn't just a complaint, it's an attack on their character. Then there's defensiveness, stonewalling, and finally contempt. They're all bad, but one is way, way worse than the others. And that's contempt. This is the big one. Contempt is that toxic mix of sarcasm, eye-rolling, name-calling. It's any behavior that communicates disgust and superiority. It is without a doubt the number one predictor of divorce. It's relationship poison. If you see this, it is a massive, blaring red flag. Okay, enough of the doom and gloom. We know what to run away from. So now let's flip the script. Once you've filtered out the major deal breakers, what are those quality green flags we should be actively looking for? Here is a super practical tool you can use. Think about rating a potential partner on these 4 essentials. First, treatment. How do they actually treat you consistently? Respect. Do you genuinely admire who they are as a person? Compatibility. Do your lives and goals actually fit together? And finally, chemistry. But notice, chemistry is only one piece of a four-piece puzzle. All four have to be there. Great chemistry can never make up for a lack of respect. And you know what's fascinating? Research from all over the world has found that there are some traits that are pretty much universally desired by everyone in a long-term partner. We're talking about things like kindness, being dependable, emotional stability. These aren't just nice-to-haves. These are the bedrock green flags of a healthy, trustworthy partner. So now we know what to look for and what to avoid. But the how you do this is just as important. The process of assessing someone, and especially the timing, is absolutely critical. You really need to pay attention to this slide because it's a huge deal. You have a very small window of time where your rational brain is actually in the driver's seat. For the first few dates, you can see things clearly. But after a couple of months, emotional attachment starts to creep in. And once that happens, your judgment gets cloudy, your tolerance for bad behavior skyrockets, and walking away becomes 1,000 times harder. Assessment has to come before attachment. So how do you use that small window wisely? Well, here are 4 key rules. 1. Go slow. Don't rush into titles and labels. 2. Date with intention. Watch how they act in different situations, especially when they're stressed. 3. Listen to your friends and family. If they see a red flag, don't ignore it. And 4, most importantly, always maintain the mindset that you are ready to walk away if you see a major deal breaker. Phew, we have covered a lot of ground here, right? From understanding your own psychology to becoming a red flag detective. So, after all this science, what's the big final takeaway? This quote just sums it all up so perfectly. The goal is not to find some flawless soulmate from a movie, because that person doesn't exist. The real goal is much more practical. First, use your brain to avoid a truly disastrous partner. And then, commit to building a great life with someone who is fundamentally good, kind, and compatible. Someone who is good enough. Because here's the ultimate truth. The success of a relationship isn't about finding the perfect person from the start. It's about 2 imperfect people making an active, daily choice to make it work, to navigate the tough times, to repair things after a fight, and to keep choosing each other again and again. So I want to leave you with this question. Whether you're single, dating, or in a long-term partnership, just take a second to think about what you're building. Is it on a solid foundation of real respect, compatibility, and shared values? Or is it built on the shifting sands of just attraction and intense feelings? The choice of what you build on is ultimately yours.